the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, 2 killed, 1,000 houses lost as fire engulfs IDP camp in Borno. Nationwide strike enters day 2 with partial compliance. Nigeria's inflation rate hits 27.33% amid soaring food prices. And on the foreign scene, Gaza hospital raid still ongoing as Israeli military carry out targeted attacks. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust TV. I am Ayuba Ila. Thanks for joining. To a tragic story, we begin with 2 persons have been killed after a fire incident razed down over 1,000 IDP shelters in Muna IDP camp in Maiduguri. The fire incident comes few days after a similar occurrence in Gamboru Market. The Muna IDP camp inferno, according to reports, happened at about 6 a.m. of Wednesday morning, lasting for over an hour and destroying makeshift houses of internally displaced persons. The IDP camp has recorded several fire outbreaks in the past years, especially during the peak of the Harmattan season.
Yaci ɗakuna, yaci mutane, yaci su taburma, su tukunya, su tampol ne, su zana, su itace.
The fire burnt our houses, mats, foodstuffs, everything went in flames. We went to trade our soup items when it happened. When we saw it, we ran back here, but it was late. The fire incident happened last week too. It affected only 7 houses. We want the government to support us.
Ba mu da wurin kwana. Ba abinci, gashi wannan ne a sayan mun nan ne kawai mu.
I can't count what we lost in the fire, food, clothes and other things. We don't have where to spend the night and no food. If the government can relocate us, we will be happy, or they should build a fire service station in the camp so that anytime there is a fire outbreak, it will stop the spread. We really want government to help us.
Our Daily Trust Bureau Chief Hamisu Kabir Matazu joins us via phone from Maiduguri with an update. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour tonight, Matazu.
Good evening, viewers.
All right. Well, Matazu, what can you tell us about the cause of this fire as of now?
Actually, according to the State Emergency Management Agency, they are yet to find the major cause of the incident, but they said still the figure remain 2 children were confirmed dead and 1,113 houses got burned in the inferno.
Okay. How would you describe the response to this incident in terms of the fire service coming to the aid of these internally displaced persons?
Once as the Harmattan season set in, such incidences must be expected. Even though, if we let me take you back last year. I can remember vividly last year there was a massive sensitization campaign by both the state and federal fire service in the state, especially in the IDP camps, which saw a considerable drop in the number of incidents at that time. But I'm not sure if such campaigns have started now, which I think may be the cause maybe of the fire escalating to this level, because 1,113 houses is huge, and even the life of the 2 children that were lost is also a serious damage to the people. But the SEMA, Director General of SEMA, that's Barkindo Muhammad, told newsmen that they are dispatching emergency items to the victims, which include rice and blankets and non-food items to alleviate their suffering. But based on experience, because before last year, you will see many IDP camps, impanels in most of the IDP camps. But when they started the sensitization campaign last year, there was drop. So I think SEMA and the NEMA and Fire Service Directorate supposed to embark on such campaigns, because I remember how they trained the people, the IDPs, on how to quench the fire immediately it started, and they succeeded in reducing the number of incidents.
I mean, Matazu, for us to witness this massive scale of fire incident where you have, about 1,000 houses, makeshift houses though, burnt down, it shows as if there's some kind of neglect or abandonment, if you like, in this IDP camp.
Well, I did not visit the IDP camp. Most of the information we got, because it's an area that you cannot just go without an escort. But based on the interviews we had, there wasn't much complaints about the negligence from the camp's officials. But the Harmattan season just set in, and people were not as prompt as they should be when it comes to taking measures against such incidents. But when I called the fire service, although it's Federal Fire Service commandant, what he told me that they are planning on the sensitization campaign, and they have enough trucks to. Yeah, yes.
Okay, Matazu, what's next now for some of the IDPs? Hello? I said, what's next for some of the IDPs now who have lost their homes? I mean, they are IDPs already, and now they are being displaced somehow again.
Yes, it's actually pathetic, because you can imagine somebody going out of his house and he came back to find the house burnt down. Everything, he lost everything to the fire. What he have on is just the clothes he's wearing. So, and the Harmattan season have started, and you can imagine the kind of calls that they will face, and the food shortage that is already there. I don't think it will be good for the people there, but let's see what how the government will respond. Maybe by tomorrow, you'll get the update.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Daily Trust Bureau Chief Hamisu Kabir Matazu. Thank you for joining us on the News Hour and for the update.
Thank you.
All right. Let's now bring you reports on the ongoing industrial action by the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress, now in its second day, and has continued to disrupt activities across the country, with the citizens expressing divergent views. The impact of the industrial action in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, has nullified the usually busy federal capital, with businesses experiencing a slowdown of patronage. Noel Sampson reports.
It's day 2 of the industrial action, and the federal capital looks unusually different on a Wednesday, as compliance to the strike remains high across the city. Mostly private establishments can be seen open for business, as civil servants and government institutions remain under lock and key. The development has polarized opinions of residents in in the FCT.
Generally, setback. I would say it affects productivity. If it's indefinite, it will affect productivity. I think that is just a little like that.
Because if workers stay at home, definitely there's impact on the economy. And you see how the economy is currently going, the high price of things, and then suffering is going on everywhere, and then they strike again. Definitely will affect the economy.
The impact of this strike is that Nigerian government is not helping people. The problem we have today is the government, and so therefore it's good for NSC to continue doing what they are doing until they know. Because if people are saying this thing is for Imo State. Imo State is in not Nigeria. So Nigeria is entirely, and these people, if they are for federal, they are for everywhere.
The positive impact is that as there is a strike at the moment, the government will see what they can do to improve the demand of the workers. The negative impact is that students and pupils are at home, and with this being at home, they can commit one crime or the other, because by this time now they're supposed to be in school and then learn and then forward their education.
The citizenry is not aware of how long the industrial action will last, as the labor leadership keeps mum about negotiations with the government. However, residents remain hopeful that life will return back to normal as soon as possible. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, to ensure full compliance with the directive of the organized labor, the strike monitoring team in Katsina has observed with dismay the non-compliance by some civil servants who are contravening the industrial action by opening government offices for regular services. On Wednesday afternoon, the gates to Katsina State Secretariat complex, housing almost all ministries, were wide open, with many civil servants seen working. Abdullahi Ahmadi joined the monitoring team for a tour and now reports.
Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Victory, there is victory.
The monitoring team has to address these civil servants they met working at some ministries and departments at the State Secretariat complex Wednesday evening.
We are fighting for it, the way we are what the palliative, let there be CNG buses, so that there will be ease on this hardship on all the masses. It's not about the workers, it's not about the federal government workers, the TBC, the NS, it's about the whole masses of Nigeria. So please, we need you to comply.
Many of these civil servants said they are not aware of the directives by the organized labor due to some communication gaps, promising to comply immediately. They urged the NLC and TUC to make adequate mobilization to that effect. Most of the civil servants are not happy with the organized labor on the soaring prices of essential commodities, insecurity, bedeviling some northern states, and naira devaluation.
Once there's an indefinite strike, something has to go in a gradual way, actually. The places that need essential service, is the places whereby you will require maybe health services, the issues of transportations, the issues of electricity, the issues of fire service. So, and we believe by tomorrow, those places by 12 midnight of today will ensure that every place is being shut down. But we are satisfied. We have more than 90% compliance in Katsina State.
The level of compliance is almost 90%. We appreciate the workers as they sit at home, they close the offices, and then they give us a maximum cooperation.
The labor leaders are also worried about the ongoing academic activities at private and community schools across the state, threatening to shut down the state. The strike enters its second day, and its success or otherwise depends largely on increased and sustained mobilization by the organized labor, especially in places like Katsina, which is a civil service state.
Forward, forward, ever, backward.
In the struggle for our members, there is victory.
Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Trust TV News indicates that the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has suspended its nationwide indefinite strike, which began on Tuesday 14. Earlier, officials of the NLC and the TUC had a meeting with the National Security Advisor, Nuhuru Bado. We'll bring you more details subsequently. The education sector in Plateau State is one of the hardest hit by the current industrial action of the organized labor, as parents and students lament the shutdown of academic activities in the state. The strike action, which began on Tuesday, has forced the closure of schools across the state as teachers answer the call of the unions to down tools. Ado Musa reports.
One of the obvious consequences of the labor strike is its impact on the education of Nigerian students. In Jos, both private and public schools have been shut down due to the ongoing strike action. This development has not gone down well with parents who say the situation is counterproductive to the growth of society.
It really affected me in different ways because I was meant to graduate last year or maybe 2 years back, but then I'm still in 300 level without even writing my first semester exams. And then coupled with the school fee hike and all, we're still here without even knowing when the strike is going to be called off, not when we're going to write the exams.
Hopefully we are going to start exams on 4th December. And because of this strike, I don't think we can cope. And we've been spending years in this institution without we leaving the institution. Honestly, let me just say pathetic to all the students.
Parents have been vocal about their disapproval of the development.
For the past few years, we are hoping that our children will be finishing within this period. But unfortunately, this strike issue, it has been affecting us for a very long time. And we are not happy. At least the government have to do something about it.
This NLC strike has many negative impacts, especially on our children that are just resumed from school. Now with this effect of strike, most of our children has come back home doing nothing. Instead, government should concentrate in resolving this conflict between them and the NLC.
It remains to be seen whether the government will meet the demands of labor as Nigerians await a quick resolution. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
And in Bauchi State, residents have expressed mixed reactions over the ongoing strike action, or rather suspended strike now, by the labor, while calling for effective conflict resolution between the government and the unions. This is coming as labor doubles down on its position to shut down the economy until the government responds favorably to its demands. Adamu Imam reports.
In Bauchi, the Labour Compliance Monitoring Team has expressed satisfaction with the level of compliance by affiliate unions to drive home their demands. While in Azare, the partial compliance to the Labour Directive means skeletal services are available to residents who are dissatisfied with the current development. It is better to checkmate government with this strike action. We are in support of their effort for now through industrial action. We hope and pray that it will be a successful one, and also we are appealing to the government on improving the living condition in this country. Honestly, Nigerians are in difficult situation, especially regarding food crisis. But to our dismay, some National Assembly members are sabotaging the effort. Even here in Azare, the local supply of rice is not enough. The government needs to allow importation of foreign rice for the survival of this country. This removal of fuel subsidy is not in our interest. We are feeling the impact. Cost of transportation is there. Inflation is everywhere. in addition to our poverty. Government should have a rethink so that the people can enjoy good life, and the labor union should ensure government response in favor of the Nigerian people. As the struggle continues, it is the hope that victory is certain as residents await the end of the current strike action so life can get back to normal. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Now, students of Obafemi Awolowo University are also speaking out on the impact of the nationwide strike by the organized labor, which has paralyzed academic activities in the university. Hamid Wegbadi has more on this.
The Academic Staff Union of Universities is one of the organized labor affiliates that announced its support for the ongoing nationwide strike as lecturers stay away from classrooms. Students of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, have been expressing their dissatisfaction with the development as academic activities come to a halt.
I'm not happy about it because, you know, we've always had these same issues over and over again. NLC going on strike, ASU going on strike, and it's really affecting us students. It's really affecting our academics. Apart from that, like we are always behind. Like we have mates that are in private universities that, like, at this stage they're already done with their school, with their education, but we are still behind.
I think it's very unfair because, especially to us students that are going out there in the job market, we need competition, but by the time we graduate from school, we are no longer in the market. We are already older than what these firms and companies want. And also for students that stay off key, we get to pay like increased fee. They increase this hostel rent like every year, and is elapsing.
This strike is one that is, to us, is taking your luck too far. Nigeria Labour Congress is organizing national strike just because some disgruntled element in Imo State choose to go the anarchical way against the president of NSC, and over 200 million Nigerians will now suffer for that infraction. That is not acceptable.
A public affairs analyst, Adenita Akinola, said federal government should have arrested and prosecuted those that attacked the NLC president in Imo State before the matter degenerated into a nationwide strike.
One could have blamed the NLC president, and what was he doing in Imo at that time? Because as a president of NLC, he has been identified with a particular party, Labour Party, and this election is holding in the state, an off-cycle election, and is going to that place to protest the interests of workers for pension, for salary, or for whatever. So ordinarily, sir, it may look as it's ill-timed. Why didn't you do it before the election, at least 3 weeks or a month to the election, or 2 months to the election, to press down this demand? Or after the election, what would it be on the twilight of the election that such, an action will take place? So it's also a complex situation.
Meanwhile, in Osogbo, the state capital, the strike has not significantly affected public services as residents continued with their everyday activities unhindered. Hamid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
In Asaba, Delta State capital, the strike action by the organized labor continued to gain momentum as unions record total compliance. Jonathan Awayai reports that government buildings have remained shut due to the industrial action. The report.
Asaba, the Delta State capital, remains paralyzed by the strike action initiated by the organized labor. It's day 2 of the industrial action, and compliance is significantly high. At the Professor Chike Edozie Secretariat, which houses all the ministries in the state, that gate has been barricaded as civil servants were not allowed into the premises. That same was done at the Federal Secretariat and other public institutions, including schools, as students were asked to return home in compliance with the directive of the organized labor.
Our president was arrested by police and handed over to thugs to be beaten up. But for the intervention of the National Security Advisor, who knows what would have happened? and workers in this country feel that it is a slap on their faces for them to ask their president to go to Imo State and the president is beaten up. We now ask the federal government to redeploy the police commissioner who supervised that beating. The area commander was also one of those that supervised the beating.
Other labor leaders who spoke with Trust TV said the union is delighted with the massive support Deltans gave the strike action and called on the federal government to yield to the demands of labor.
It's our right, freedom of expression. They should not be deterred for any reason concerning what we are doing. The most important thing is for us to achieve results at the end of the day. The workers should remain resolute and firm and wait for the outcome of the next line of action to be taken by the National Secretariat.
To advise the government of the day to listen to labor, because labor is the voice of the masses, and we want to say also that whatever labor demand is something that will benefit the entire masses, and governance is all about the people. It's for the people and for the people.
As the strike continues to take its toll on Nigerians, the organized labor remain resolute until the government meets their conditions. Jonathan Awanye, Trust TV News, Asaba.
Imo State residents have been inundated with labor strikes even before the nationwide strike action, as residents express feelings of being besieged by the impact of industrial actions in the state. The economic climate in the state has been worsened by the nationwide strike action, leaving many residents in a socio-economic predicament. Trust TV's Ajibade Praise sampled the opinions of some residents in this report.
It is the second day of the strike in Imo State, and there is no doubt that the entire process is really telling hard on Nigerians. For this woman here who had come out to look for her daily bread, we want to ask her how the strike has been affecting her.
The strike dey really affect us. I wan beg more the government settle this matter. Whatever is the problem, let them settle it. Because this strike now is making me, I know the same market. Since morning when I come here, no market. Due to, I know every workers don't go. Most of them have gone to the village, and my school children now, they are coming back home. No food. Food in the market costly. And now there's come and put strike again. How do we survive?
Like this woman, most of the residents in the state expressed total displeasure over the industrial action of the NLC. They said the strike is beginning to have negative effect on them, and they can no longer bear the pain. Financial institutions are shutting down their services. The various public schools in the state, both secondary and tertiary, are equally not left out, as all their premises were seen to have been deserted.
We've gone on strike several times and we come back, same thing, same issue. So what's the point? It's baseless for me. So instead of suffering the poor masses, why don't they call off the strike, and then, you know, people go about their normal life and gain a living for themselves?
The people are suffering. Just have to go to the streets. And of course, you know, we don't have power already here. And when the little one they supply from the EDDC is cut off, my brother is
For some of them, the motive behind the strike may not be achieved, and rather than suppressing the masses to untold hardship, the NLC should look for other alternatives to solving the problems.
The NLC know already that before now, even until now, the government is not sensitive to the plight of the people. So trying to use a method that can only bring more pain on the poor masses to call for the hearing, for the listening ears of the government, I think it doesn't work here. It is something to worry about. In fact, I'm pleading with the NLC and the government, especially the government, the state government, because if what happened didn't happen, yeah, we all won't be in this quagmire, as I call it.
There is no doubt that the strike has continued to bite hard on most Imo residents. This is the state high court. There is absolutely no way to access it. A lot of public offices are under lock and key in the state, and the masses are looking towards a quick end to this menace. Ajibade Praise, Trust TV News, Owerri.
And in the nation's capital, Abuja, the National Assembly complex has been finally shut down by organized labor groups in protest of the manhandling of the national president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajero. However, the presidential Villa Gate, which connects the National Assembly complex, remained open for security personnel and other essential workers. The management of the National Assembly has not commented on the matter. Among those barred from gaining entry into the legislative complex were journalists, legislative aides, and several members of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, who are affiliates of organized labor. In the meantime, the Senate has called on the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress to immediately put an end to the strike in the national interest. This follows the point of order raised by the Senate leader, Senator Bamidele Opeyemi, as the floor of the Senate on Wednesday, the plenary. The report.
In his lead debate, Bamidele expressed concern over most of the demands of the NLC, which are not targeted towards just the welfare of the Nigerian workers, but on the alleged political involvement of the president of the NLC, who also is a citizen of Imo State.
I stand to move that the Senate consider the need for the Nigerian Labour Congress and associated labor unions to reconsider its current stand on the ongoing industrial action.
Senator Adams Oshomele, who is also a former president of the NLC, decried the way the police managed the protest and called for an urgent action to address the issue. He said it is legitimate for us as senators to condemn, without any reservations, the act of brutality against protesters, including the president of the NLC.
I think it is legitimate for us as senators and in this Senate to condemn without any reservation acts of brutality against protesters, including the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress.
The Senate President and the Senate leadership therefore invited the leadership of the NLC, TUC, ASU and other relevant agencies to address the issues and come to an amicable resolution.
That we urge the Nigerian Labour Congress, the TUC, ASU and all protesting unions to immediately call a stop to the ongoing strike in the national interest. Those in support of prayer one say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer two. Mandate the Senate President and the Senate leadership to immediately summon a meeting with the protesting union leaders with a view to resolving the issues amicably. Those in support of prayer two say aye. Aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Recall. At the commencement of this strike followed the physical assault the NLC National President, Joe Ajero, was subjected to in Imo State.
You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up shortly. Despite rising global temperatures, climate change remains unmitigated. Details and more after the break.
That's right, you too could be one of the 20 Zenith Bank customers that will win 150,000 Naira every 2 weeks from June 1st, 2023 until May 31st, 2024 in the Zenith Better Life Promo 3. To qualify, simply open a Zenith Bank account. For more information, visit www.zenithbank.com/betterlife. Live the better life with Zenith Bank.
Why did you develop this reputation as somebody who is difficult to work with?
I will tell the truth. No matter whose ox is gored, I will say exactly how it is.
This is why I actually sympathize with commissioners of nowadays, where a commissioner sometimes is just a picture. You find somebody, even a cleaner and the governor's wife, can interfere with their abilities.
Even the ministers, there are very many who respected me.
simply because I never complained about them. I never went to ask for a favor. Never.
So none of that has happened?
Nothing.
But if it hasn't happened, do you have hope that now another government coming in?
There's no hope.
So you've given up
I've given
politics?
I've given up. It's gone, it's gone.
Retrenchment from work is the most hated thing by unions. It's loss of job means that is loss of life, in fact, for civil servants at that time.
Nigeria's economy, Nigeria's security, Nigeria's intelligence. This is what the materials we were handling. And I thought government would be very interested.
The reasons why you adopted federalism is not because of finesse, not because you like it. It's because of its functional utility.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at the top stories again. 2 killed, 1,000 houses lost as fire engulfs IDP camp in Borno. Plus, organized labor suspends strike as Nigerians decry impact. Now moving on, the appeal court in Abuja has reserved judgment in an appeal filed by the APC governorship candidate in Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, challenging the decision by an election tribunal which nullified his victory. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports that the tribunal court had, in a split judgment, held that the PDP governorship candidate in the March 18 election, David Umbogadu, was the rightful winner of the poll, even as minority reasoning disagreed with the position.
Arguing for and against their submissions before the appellate court panel of justices, counsel to Governor Abdullahi Sule Wole Olanipe Kuneseen urged the court to set aside the judgment of the tribunal on ground that it refused to take the submissions of their witnesses during its hearing, in addition to dumping the data generated from the vivas used for the election as evidence. Counsel to the PDP's candidate Mbugadu Kanu Agabi SAN in his counter-submission urged the court to dismiss the appeal, describing the evidence tendered at the lower tribunal as merely documentary. Parties to the appeal declined comment on the proceedings. A 3-member panel of justices led by Justice Uchechukwu Onyemenam reserved judgment on the appeal on a date to be communicated to parties after listening to the council's submissions. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Jigawa Police Command has said that its operatives have successfully traced and recovered 3 cows suspected to have been stolen by a cattle rustler. The Police Command's spokesman, DSP Lawan Shisu Adam, confirmed the development to Daily Trust correspondent. He said that the 23-year-old Ibrahim, residing in Sabor Ungwa Kiawa local government area, was located following a tip-off received by the authorities. He pointed out that during questioning, Mukhtari Ibrahim revealed that he had received the stolen cows from a man named Yusuf, who remains at large. He added that the recovered cows have since been released on bond to their rightful owners, stressing the police authorities are actively intensifying efforts to apprehend the fleeing suspect. DSP Shisu further emphasized that upon the completion of the investigation, the suspects will face legal charges in court to face the full consequences of their action. The House of Representatives has called on the Nigerian police and other security agencies to tackle the activities of bandits in communities in Batsari and Safana local government areas of Katsina State. The call followed a resolution on a motion on matters of urgent public importance moved by the member representing Batsari Safana Musa Federal Constituency of Katsina State, Aliyu Ilyasu Abubakar, at the plenary on Wednesday. Presenting the motion, he said that there have been series of violent attacks in his constituency and other parts of Katsina State by bandits killing people, livestock, and damage to crops and other properties. The representative Abubakar informed that communities in Batsari, Safana, and Musa have been witnessing series of relentless attacks and violence by bandits, which resulted in widespread devastation and killings. After his presentation, the House urged Nigerian police and other security agencies to implement all necessary measures to halt banditry activities in order to guarantee the safety of lives and property in the affected communities. Now, climate change remains a hot topic on a global scale, with proponents advocating measures to curtail man-made factors to lower the effect on the environmental and economic ecosystems. The past 12 months have been the hottest ever recorded in 150 years as the world struggles to provide solutions to the growing energy crisis. In this report, Abdurrahman Umar puts the spotlight on the effects of climate change and its impact on livelihood.
Victoria Haruna is a rice cultivator who is feeling the impact of the hot weather condition that has become a new normal. The rise in temperature is becoming too much to bear.
This rice, it takes us several months to harvest. Like right now, due to the hot weather we are experiencing, it becomes too difficult for us to carry the work like we normally do. But we can say since the government will not provide any help, despite the hot weather, we are just trying to survive.
The work becomes much easier when it is during rainy season, but in this hot weather condition, we still have to carry on.
For experts like Ibrahim Wasiu, the correlation between human activities and rising temperatures is evident for all to see.
The hot weather we are experiencing for now, like you said, when we are, indiscriminately felling of trees and all that, which are supposed to be, coexist with human being and all that, when you indiscriminately cut all these trees, what we are saying in essence is you are affecting the ecosystem. And indirectly, this is supposed to balance the, the temperature for us. But, you can't find them anymore. They are less in number and all that. And as a result, it's now directly or indirectly causing, this excess heat that we are having now. And of course, we also know it's as a result of deforestation, and all that.
Despite the concerted effort to turn around militating factors, the gaps that exist is too great to make meaningful impact.
We just have to think outside the box. We just have to continue to think of alternative, to the use and burning of fossil fuels, other activities that a woman can engage that can, at the end of the day, curtail all this burning of fossil fuels and other things. We just have to think, ahead. We just have to really, know that climate is changing. And before we know it, it's really having indirect effect on human lives. We just have to, key into this. And as a matter of fact, this is the right time to do that.
Although poverty and economic inequality are greatly undermining solutions aimed at addressing these challenges, the authorities have more to do.
The major threat to environmental, tranquility in this country is the fact that, the rate of poverty is over close to 70%. And I think almost that proportion, about 70% of the population actually depend on fuel wood for cooking, either fuel wood or the new variant now that is called charcoal. And over the years, governments, in succession, they've not been serious about, the transition from fuel wood to a cleaner fuel such as gas or, other forms of renewable fuels or sources of energy. And that has, make the situation much more serious, because as the population increase, poor people tend to depend on natural resources or natural fuels, such as, fuel wood, in order to cook, and people must cook.
Nigerians appear to be oblivious of how everyday actions like tree felling and waste mismanagement can facilitate global warming. There is a clarion call for all hands to be on deck if the most populous black nation in the world is to make progress in reversing the trend of climate change. Abdurrahman Omar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency has alerted the public on the possibility of approaching thick dust haze that can lead to deterioration of horizontal visibility within the next 24 hours. According to a release from the agency, stations in the source region, which is the Sahara Desert, have been reporting dust haze in poor horizontal visibility between 300 meters and 5,000 meters in the last 24 hours. Explaining further, the statement revealed that due to strong winds, the dust in suspension is expected to propagate to some states in the northern part of the country. This is expected to further deteriorate horizontal visibility over the northern parts of the country, especially over Katsina, Kano, Guru, Jigawa, Bauchi, Gombe, Patuskum, and Maiduguri in the next 24 hours. NIMET therefore advised members of the public to take necessary precautions due to dust particles presently in suspension over the atmosphere. People with asthma and other respiratory issues should be cautious of the present weather situations. Airline operators are advised to get updated weather reports from NIMET for effective planning in their operations. The harvest season in Nigeria is gaining momentum as food prices continue to soar, with 26.5 million Nigerians at risk of hunger between now and the next year, according to a United Nations agency. The usual optimism of farmers and traders has been negatively impacted by the cost of production, which with fuel prices pushing production levels to the brink. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Farmers are not reaping what they sow because the current economic climate has become unfavorable to the agriculture value chain. The harvest season has come with so many challenges as farmers and traders calculate their small profit margins due to economic downturn. The high cost of farm inputs means farm produce will not come cheap as many had hoped.
The only thing or the only way that we can follow to tackle price of food commodity in Nigeria is to intervene properly and is to intervene accordingly. Intervene on the price of input, intervene in the price of commodity, monitoring and supervision of farming activities. Well, some can smile, some will be happy with the price increment, but the best thing we are calling on the government to come at the aid of our farmers by intervening promptly, properly. Farmers' perspective is the input are very difficult to access because of the high prices. But we are calling on the government to provide warehouses where after having a farmer can take his produce, sell it at the approved rate, sell it and get the input at the subsidized rate.
Although successive governments have introduced various agricultural interventions, the country depends on importation to meet the growing food demands of its fast-growing population. Speaking on the solution, Dr. Abubakar also attributed the skyrocketing food prices to inconsistency of government intervention programs, which must be addressed to guarantee food security in the country.
Honestly, it's inconsistent in government program and policies regarding agriculture. If I say the government intervention will be continuously, at least we can be able to achieve what we want to achieve. But the government intervention, no continuity in government intervention, particularly in agriculture. Inconsistency in intervention in agriculture is cause inflation in food prices.
Nigeria is on verge of a food security crisis, and going by the current food inflation figures, there is more work to be done to to avert the incoming crisis. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
And on business, Nigeria's inflation rate, headline inflation, that is, rate for October 2023, has increased to 27.33% according to the National Bureau of Statistics. Daily Trust reports that the figure is 0.9 short of the 28.2% recorded in August 2005. The NBS, in a report released on Wednesday, said that on a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 6.24 points higher compared to the rate recorded in October 2022, which was 21.09%. Similarly, it said that food sub-index for October 2023 increased to 31.52% on a year-on-year basis, which was 7.80% points higher compared to the rate recorded in October 2022. It said that the rise in food inflation was due to increases in prices of bread and cereals, oil and fat, potatoes, yam, and food commodities. In the meantime, former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Muhammad Sanusi II, has said that the Apex banks lending to the federal government under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari through Ways and Means triggered inflationary pressure in Nigeria and weakened the value of the naira. The CBN's loan to the federal government hit 22.7 trillion naira, an amount the CBN said had been scrutinized not to dampen its balance sheet. Ways and Means is a way in which the federal government raises funds by borrowing from the CBN. The 14th Emir of Kano also said that the central bank had embarked on aggressive monetary tightening through various liquidity control instruments, including open market operations, open buyback, and high treasury bills rates, an indication that the bank was sticking to its core mandate of financial systems stability and inflation control. Current governor of the CBN, Olayemi Cardoso, had said that the bank will return to its primary role of price stability. The Royal Embassy of Saudi Arabia in Nigeria has stated that the 177 Nigerians that were denied entry into the country a few days ago used visas with incorrect information. The embassy, in a statement on its official X account, said that the information the travelers submitted made them acquire different category of visas they were not eligible to acquire and gain access into the country. The kingdom had on Monday rejected entry to 264 passengers airlifted by Air Peace upon their arrival in Jeddah from Kano. The country had asked the airlines to return all 264 passengers to Nigeria, but later allowed 87 passengers to remain. This was despite the passengers went through the advanced passengers information system during the check-in formalities in Nigeria, which was also monitored by the Saudi authorities. It therefore urged all passengers to review all their documents to determine their conformity with the conditions prior departing from their countries to the kingdom. It stated that the procedure was not limited to Nigerian citizens only, but all citizens of other countries. On the foreign scene, Israel's military said that its forces are carrying out precise and targeted operation against Hamas in Gaza's main hospital, Al-Shifa, after several days of fighting around the site. The U.S. had earlier said that it had intelligence suggesting Hamas was using the hospital as a command and control node, supporting prior claims by Israel. Hamas and medical officials in Gaza say that the hospital is not used for military purposes. Both the UN and the Red Cross on Wednesday voiced alarm over the Israeli military's raid on the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. UN humanitarian chief Martin Griffiths said in a post on X that he is appalled by reports of military raids in Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza. He said that the protection of newborns, patients, medical staff, and all civilians must override all other concerns, noting that hospitals are not battlegrounds. The International Committee of the Red Cross, meanwhile, said that it was extremely concerned about the impact on sick and wounded people, medical staff, and civilians. Let's now take a look at sports update with Emmanuel Fashemi.
Super Eagles and Fulham midfielder Alex Iwobi has marked it a blessing that Nigeria has an array of fantastic players to select from. The talented midfielder made the assertion after the team first training session ahead of the fixture against Lesotho on Thursday for the FIFA 2026 World Cup qualifiers in Uyo. While addressing Super Eagles media team, Iwobi reiterated he wants to play at the FIFA World Cup again after he featured for the Super Eagles in the 2018 edition in Russia. The World Cup qualifier clash between Super Eagles and Crocodiles of Lesotho is bid for the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo on Thursday, 16th November 2023 by 4 p.m. Nigerian time. The World Boxing Council has placed former UFC fighter Francis Ngannou on number 10 in its latest rankings. Ngannou lost to Tyson Fury after a split decision in his first boxing bout weeks ago in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Although Fury's WBC belt was not put up for the fight, and Ngannou has not been ranked by the boxing authorities. At the recent 2023 WBC convention, the governing body said Francis Ngannou will be ranked at number 10, with Deontay Wilder positioned as number 1 contender and Anthony Joshua second. The former UFC champion Ngannou hopes to further his boxing career and has been linked with fights against the likes of former world champions Joshua and Wilder. However, Joshua and Wilder are set to fight on the same card on 23rd December 2023 in Saudi Arabia. The WBC is an authorizing body that supervises its own world rankings, with the IBF, WBO and WBA also having their own rankings. And that is it on sports. I am Emmanuel Fashimi.
And that wraps up the news hour for tonight. In case you've missed, you can always catch up across all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.